Don't go away till I get a picture of that with my cell phone, all right? No. And I'm overwhelmed to see so many people here. You know there are no refreshments, right? Okay? So I just want, anybody wants to leave now, that's... it's wonderful to be back in Portland. I went to college here at Reed a few years ago, quite a few years ago. Any Reedies here? One, two, not too many. Okay, a few. And I never before wore my sunglasses in Portland before today. This is very unusual. Now, this new book is a collection of essays. I did not know what to call it. In the late 80s, in 89, I think, I had published another collection of essays, which was about the Reagan years, and I had called that one The Worst Years of Our Lives. So I was really stuck when I came to a collection of essays that cover the Bush years. They're called The Even Worst Years of Our Lives, and it's hard, and I won't even try to summarize the last 8 years. I wouldn't do it. I try to, the essays were written in mostly the last 6 years or 4 years, and they cover some silly things. They're among serious things. And there have been a lot of silly things going on. Scapegoating, for example. Scapegoating is one way that we deal with our problems in America, and we've had all sorts of scapegoats recently. Gays, for example. There's a scapegoat for you, going back to the Reagan years, in fact. And I'm going to read you a little snippet from one essay that I wrote on that theme, and it was inspired by Senator Larry Craig. Remember? Poor man, for the rest of his life he's going to be a laugh line. It's terrible. But he inspired me to write an essay called Fear of Restrooms. So I'm reading just a little bit of it here. I don't suffer from fear of flying. It's fear of airports that cripples me. Anything could happen to you in an airport. You could be apprehended by the TSA, the DEA, and as we learned from the Larry Craig case, by the Vice Squad. I'm at the point where I'm beginning to develop subsidiary phobias to Cinnabon, Sparrows, and most recently airport restrooms. Now, I don't know whether lesbians hook up in airport ladies' rooms. Judging from my lesbian friends, they don't hook it up at all. They fall in love. They move in together, and they start spending their weekends in Home Depot. But if they do, on occasion, cruise airport restrooms in the manner of a U.S. senator, what signaling techniques do they use? And could I have been inadvertently employing some of them? Because, face it, how many of us knew that the way to attract a fellow male stall dweller was by tapping your foot and swiping your fingers along the floor? Does that seem erotic to anybody here? I mean, it doesn't excite me. But just a few days ago, I was in an airport restroom, ladies' room, performing the well-known automatic faucet activating gesture. Frantically waving my hands, palm down, under the faucet, hoping to activate the sensor. I was just about to scream, "Why don't they let us turn on our own damn water?" when I realized that the hand waving could be a signal. And that the lady in the next sink could be an officer of the law. I hastily abandoned the effort to wash. Now, this is all very strange when you consider that we're at the orange level of airport insecurity and have been for years. And there is no evidence that I know of that the 9/11 terrorists, that any of them were closeted Wahhabist gays. And yet here is this effort to detect gay people in airports. Larry Craig, for example, was apprehended by a man apparently consigned to spend his entire day on the can, watching for errant fingers under the door. Possibly, this fellow has some intestinal issues that made this an unnecessary posting. But, this is a strange way to spend our law enforcement dollars, and another objectionable one. I just have to say one thing on the subject of gay marriage, which I'm sure isn't necessary to say in Portland, but I do go to a lot of places where I think it is necessary to say it. And the subject of gay marriage has been brought up again with California deciding that people who are married somewhere else can come there and still be married. And what I want to say is, if you don't like the idea of gay marriage, if you find it somehow distasteful and unnatural, do me a favor and do not marry a gay person. All right? End of discussion. Now, another scapegoat, illegal immigrants. You know, there is so much of that going on. There is so little mention, especially by Lou Dobbs, for example, about what immigrants actually do in this country, including the undocumented ones. But the Latinos have a word for it, which is trabajo. They've been mowing the lawns, cleaning the offices, hammering nails, picking tomatoes, not to mention dishwashing, diaper changing, meat packing, and poultry plucking. And quoting from one of my essays on this subject, the punitive rage at illegal immigrants grows out of a larger blindness to the manual labor that makes our lives possible. The touching belief common to the American upper classes that offices clean themselves at night and salad greens spring straight from the soil onto your plate. Another favorite scapegoat in the last 2 years, poor young African Americans. This is Bill Cosby's favorite target. He doesn't like the way they talk, the way they dress, and the fact that they don't name their children Bill. He feels that they've, quote, let him down, and he's a billionaire. Well, I get so tired of all these scapegoats that I would like to propose a new scapegoat group, and I would like to launch it in this room tonight, if we'll all get behind it. Unfortunately, I'm a member of this group, and some of you are too, but anyway, I think it's worth it. Old white people. Think about it. They don't work. They don't like to work. They hang around. They lounge on park benches. They play canasta. And you know what allows them to do that? Government money. We can expect the Heritage Foundation to reveal any day now that some seniors are cashing in their Social Security checks for vodka and Viagra. Yes. And I remember how in the build-up to welfare reform in the 90s, you know, the pundits were saying, we've got to stop welfare. It causes poverty. About that. Well, in the same way, someone's going to announce pretty soon that Medicare causes baldness. There's a correlation, right? And the menace posed by the elderly is only getting worse because more and more of them are sinking into debt. What are they spending their money on? Well, I have to tell you, in many cases, drugs. Yes. How long before our streets are ruled by geezer gangs mugging us to support their insulin and beta blocker habits?